Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Soy Cabeto Peña desde México para toda la comunidad de Line 6, Tips and Tricks, Consejos y Trucos. De hecho, no es desde México este video. Estoy en Anaheim, en NAMM Show 2020. Y para mí es un honor, verdaderamente, un placer estar aquí entrevistando a Erik Klein.
Hola.
Hola Erik. Él es nada más y nada menos que el principal, el jefe de diseño, el encargado de crear la maravilla de Helix para todos nosotros. Él es el desarrollador de toda esta tecnología. Y bueno, empezando por algo muy importante, es que quiero felicitarlo principalmente porque la noche de anoche, antes de grabar este video, acaba de ganar el premio por el HX Stomp, el Tech Awards. Lo acaba de ganar. Es un reconocimiento que se da aquí a la mejor tecnología del año. Entonces HX Stomp se gana este reconocimiento. Hi, Erik.
Good to see you.
It's an honor to be here with you.
Pleasure.
First of all, congratulations for that award.
Thanks. Congrats to the team. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mentioned last night that we spent about 3 to 4 months doing nothing but making it smaller.
Okay.
So they come back like, nope, needs to be smaller. And we actually showed some prototypes of it, some little origami versions that we used to design products.
Origami.
And it was originally supposed to be 2 switches, but to cram everything we needed in there, it was going to be like that tall.
Oh.
So you'd have to do this to step on it. So we had to widen it a bit to get it down. So we put in 3. So yeah, the goal was always to make it as small as humanly possible, so anybody could fit it on their pedal board.
Yeah.
And that was, and the team worked really, really, really hard. And we have a team of brilliant engineers and developers and designers, and I couldn't be more proud of them. So
Excellent. We are amazed by that. I don't know how to say. Winning award is I think it's something. It has to be. It must be. HX Stomp is a wonderful piece of technology.
Thanks.
It's pretty useful. It's I think if I don't. You know,
So
as a user,
you've had a different Line 6 shirt every day I've seen you.
Yeah.
It's like I've never seen that shirt. It's so cool. So yeah.
I have different models.
Yeah.
So yes, but if I couldn't, or if I put off this shirt from my heart, as only a user, I think that is a great piece of technology.
Oh, thank you.
I
Thanks.
love it. I think you deserve this.
No, the whole team.
This
It's
award.
the whole team, and it's all the way from Joe Bentavania on down. It's a lot. It's a big labor of love, and we just want to make cool gear. That's why we come to work. So
Great. So, Erik, tell us about the new Podgo. How do you design it? How to which users are aimed to?
Sure. So this is the first all-new pod design in almost 10 years.
Okay.
So the last full design was HD 500 back in 2010. There was an HD 500X in 2013, but it was very similar. But originally, back in 1998, the original pod, the green or the red kidney bean shaped pod, it was wildly successful. And if you opened up a recording magazine and looked at a photo of a control room in a studio, anywhere through the late 90s through the 2000s, you would see a bean that's sitting there. And it was successful because it sounded really good. It was super portable. It was very immediate, so you just reach down and it's right there. You're not doing a bunch of menu diving.
Yeah.
And it was portable, so
Yep.
people could take it with them. It was a great practice unit. But over the years, pod evolved into something else. It evolved into this really powerful kind of sort of flagship thing with all these menus. And so we, I don't want to say we lost our way, but pod meant something else eventually. And so when we went and did Helix and LT and Rack and HX Stomp, HX Effects and Native, and we did this whole new line of stuff. When we went back and looked at what we needed to do for the next pod, we decided, well, let's ignore everything we've done since the original pod, go back to the original bean, find out really what made it so special.
Okay.
And let's embrace that. Okay. So what we did is we tried to make something that was affordable, that was portable, so anybody could throw it in a backpack, take it on a train or subway to their gig. Because Helix, it's really powerful and really flexible, but it's big.
Yeah.
And we wanted it to be approachable, so anybody who's just starting out with modeling or is kind of curious about it might not want to jump into Helix because it might be intimidating or it might be too powerful or too expensive. This is a good way to kind of try out modeling and see how it works for them. But we also didn't want to lose a lot of the great magic that we've built from Helix and HX products. So we tried to cram as much Helix goodness into Pod Go without sacrificing the cost and the ease of use or the sound quality.
Right.
So we had to shave off a lot of bits to get the price to where it was really affordable, but we weren't willing to skimp on sound quality.
Great. Yeah, I think that Line 6 always is concerned about to get all the technology affordable for all users. We saw that with all the products along the history of Line 6 with, as you said, with the bean, and there was we can see that with Pocket Pod. It has an amazing sound. In fact it's 2.0 pod technology, no?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it is. Yeah.
But I made a blind test with the Pocket Pod on Helix. Nobody noticed the difference in a recording. No, obviously, in playing it is very pretty not notorious. So I don't know, but Pocket Pod still sounded great.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really where the proof is. So when you do the modeling process. Early on, like in the early pods, modeling meant let's measure the input. Let's measure a couple places in the circuit to make sure that we don't mess up, and then let's measure the output.
Okay.
And so what you end up with is what comes in audio-wise is what you get out.
Okay.
And that's in a nutshell what modeling is. You do a mathematical approximations of real circuits.
Okay.
But it wasn't granular. It was very kind of broad early on when in the first modeling products. But sonically, what goes in and what comes out is, I mean, it's very, very close to what that is.
Yeah.
But while you're playing, what makes an amp feel different and what makes it sort of react to your playing is a lot more difficult to nail. And you can't just measure inputs and outputs in a few places in between. You have to effectively rebuild the amp from scratch using tiny digital approximations of every circuit that's in that amp. Okay. So to do that takes a lot more DSP horsepower. It takes a lot more know-how, not just on the digital side, but on the amp designer side too. So the best sound designers for modelers aren't digital geeks necessarily. It's actually amp builders. Okay. So our sound designers like Ben and Sam and Ryan, they are amp builders. So they build pedals, analog pedals. They've built tube amps. They've modded all of these things. So they're intimately familiar with how, not just what the components are, but how they react and what happens when you swap out a component with something else. Okay. How is that going to feed back through the system and change that? So all of these interactions within an amp, if you can recreate them perfectly and not just measure here, 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 and here, but measure 80 or 100 different places and then mathematically model not just the components, but how those components interact, that's what gives you that feel. So when you're playing, you're like, Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, there are some questions that over the new poll go. The Latin community it's making some questions. So one of those is why not Variax connection in the pod?
So Variax is really complicated and very expensive.
Yeah.
And so when we were looking at PodGo, I'll be honest, the number one goal for PodGo was we need something that's affordable for the masses.
Yeah.
Because we want to bring what we've done with Helix to everybody. We don't want to keep it in this upper echelon of people who can afford a $1,500 product.
Yeah.
Or who know how to build a complex signal flow from scratch with splits and merges and all that sort of stuff. Let's bring it to everybody, and so everybody gets to play.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we had to remove was VDI, and that VDI connector and the circuitry to support it and the development work it takes to not just code but also test is very expensive.
Okay.
And so PodGo could not be sold for $450 US if it had VDI.
Okay, that's.
In fact, that's one of the most expensive things that we were able to take out. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's also part of the reason why HXFX and HX Stomp also do not have VDIs.
Oh, right, that's a double answer. that's great. Another question is why Helix, obviously PodGo, it doesn't have a touch screen.
Well, touchscreens are expensive, and in a lot of ways, unless there's a compelling reason to do it, in some ways it slows things down. I love touchscreens. I think they're extremely appropriate for all sorts of products. Helix was originally going to have a touchscreen because it's based on our M20D mixer, which had a big, colorful, beautiful touchscreen. At the time, and we were testing this is back 2012, 2013, people didn't like it.
Yeah.
We knew that if we put a big color screen on it, as soon as people got used to it, they'd be like, where's the touch screen?
Yeah.
And as soon as we announced Helix, within a couple months, people were saying, oh, I love it. I wish it had a touch screen. We're like, well, of course we knew you would. That's why we'll likely put a touch screen in the next platform.
Okay.
But we've said that since the beginning, so it's not a secret or anything like that.
Right.
But touchscreens, for them to really work, especially if you have fat fingers like I do.
Now you.
Well, they are after walking all day. But you have to make blocks big enough, which means you can't show so much on the screen, so you get less feedback. So a lot of times you have to make sacrifices, like you can't show parameters and blocks and presets and snapshots on the screen at the same time.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of menu diving and opening things and adjusting things and let me close this and that sort of thing. Whereas with a non-touch screen, you get to see a lot more. So so in some cases it makes things actually easier. There are really only two things that people are doing currently that where touchscreens are really beneficial. One is quick selection of blocks, but on PodGo, it's literally spinning a dial and you scroll through it like Pac-Man.
Yeah.
So you can find the same block in 3/4 of a second instead of a half a second. So for us, the cost savings was worth it. The other thing, I'll freely admit this, is naming presets is a huge pain unless you have a touchscreen.
Yeah.
But in that case, if you're naming a bunch of stuff, we have the editor where you can just type in as well. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Another question is why not XLR connections?
So XLRs take up a lot of room. They are expensive, but also keep in mind that if you have XLRs, you also need to have 2 1/4-inch because 1/4-inch outputs are way more common than XLRs.
Okay.
So you either have 2 1/4-inches and 2 XLRs plus this new amp output. So it's not just, you can't just change them to XLR. You have to add XLR, and our 1/4-inch outputs are balanced anyway. So simply using an adapter or a TRS XLR cable is exactly the same thing as if there were XLRs in there. Okay. So it's the equivalent of getting XLR or 1/4-inch and just switching. And then by that, you just choose the cable.
Okay. We could expect big brother of PodGo?
Maybe, probably not. The whole point of PodGo is to make it super easy and super affordable, or as affordable as we can make something that we put our heart and soul into. I mean, honestly, the big brother of PodGo is Helix LT.
Helix LT, yeah.
So as soon as you add things, it's not really a pod anymore.
Okay.
So and the more things you add, the harder it is to use, and the more you have to explain in the manual, and the more things that distract from the real spirit of the creating tones very quickly.
Okay. On another question is, why not Helix desktop?
Oh, like a new Helix
Yeah.
bean. It's honestly, it's just popularity.
Okay.
With the last bean we made was Pod HD bean.
Yeah.
And that was, I think that was fall of 2010, and we didn't sell a ton of them.
Okay.
So since then, if you think about what the original word bean was really in a lot of studios, and there's such a huge advantage in not having to plug stuff in. If the end result is you need to get the music into your computer, and back in '98, not everybody was using computers to record either. They were using VS880s or Akai DR4s or Tascam or ADATs or whatever.
ADATs,
So we really feel the spiritual successor to the Bean is Helix Native.
Okay.
Because the advantage there is it's like getting a Helix, except you can run a Helix on as many tracks as your computer allows.
Okay, yeah. That's
So I'm working on my record. Will be done the next month or two, and some of the songs have 30 different instances of Helix Native on vocals, keyboards, snare.
Yeah.
You know, so in the studio environment, it's so much more flexible to have a plug-in that you can use many times than having to keep plugging things in, or let me route it back through here, back into the computer. I made a mistake, I have to go back and do it again. So
right. Our last question is about a Spider V MK2. It has the sound of Helix?
No. It has an older generation modeling built in.
It's something like HD?
No, it's I don't know. I apologize.
It's not your area.
It's not my product.
Okay.
I don't want to misspeak. Hey, what's that? Is it Amp Farm?
What's that?
Spider V modeling. It has Pod Farm effects. I can't remember if the amps are HD or not. I'm sorry.
Something about between, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Don't worry.
We can cut that out.
yeah. Sure. Don't worry. What about Amplify and Firehawk? There is some kind of evolution of them.
Yeah, we're always looking at stuff. The NAMM Show is primarily for dealers and distributors.
Yeah.
So we really kind of focus on all the new stuff.
Okay.
And we're always looking at not improving products, but trying to come up with new things that surprise people that they don't expect.
Yeah.
Because that's always more fun than doing yet another mousetrap.
Okay. So. Well, thank you, Erik.
Thank you.
You answer all the questions. I think that all our members of the group and the community could have a more clear idea of all their answers. Amigos, pues muchas gracias. Gracias por ver esta entrevista. Él es Erik Klein. Él es el gran diseñador de todo esto. Espero que todas estas respuestas realmente puedan resolver gran parte de sus dudas acerca de estos nuevos productos y de por qué han ocurrido estas situaciones que yo creo que todos nos hemos preguntado en ciertos momentos. Entonces, bueno, amigos, yo soy Cabeto Peña desde México, desde Anaheim, California, en Estados Unidos. Para todos ustedes, comunidad de Line 6, Tips and Tricks, Consejos y Trucos. Nos vemos en la próxima. Thank you, Erik.
Muchas gracias, amigos.
Excellent Spanish. Nos vemos próximamente.
Uno más cerveza, por favor. Right?
Uno más cerveza. Excelente. Nos vemos en la próxima. Mucha música.